So some people say a fifth wheel is the way to travel.
Some people say Class A, big giant Class A with a toad
Some people
is the way
say
to travel.
a tent in a car is the way to go.
Some people say Class C is the best RV out there, and that's what you should get.
Some people say B.
Some people say B plus.
And guess what?
Some people say truck camper.
Some people do say a truck camper.
You know what? They're all right.
They are all right.
Nobody's wrong. Whatever your way of travel and the way you like to do it is the right way to do it. And there's no one way to travel.
Yeah, so for those of you that have not been following us, we spent about 6.5 years in 2 different camper vans.
Full time.
And then we've been in a New Camp Cirrus 820 truck camper for 7 or 8 months now. Time sure flies, man. So today's video is kind of we're going to explain how we travel, and we're going to talk about some comparisons that we've noticed between traveling in a van and traveling in the truck camper.
So quite a few people that have been following us for years have been asking about if we thought we made the right choice leaving the 2 different vans we had. We had a Road Trek Zion SRT that we bought new in 2016.
Yep.
And then we did a custom, pretty high-end van build with Humble Road like 3 years ago.
2020, yeah.
Yeah. And so people were wondering if we think we made the right choice leaving those vans and going to this truck camper. So that's kind of what today's video is to just maybe talk about that. And so we were thinking about it last night, and we said, let's just write down like pros and cons of the 2. So
yeah,
we
so that's what we did.
Scratched out
because we're
some notes.
We're gonna forget something, I know, and this is not a really comprehensive list. This is just kind of what we thought off the top of our head, and some things we've noticed along the way that we actually have written down. So
yeah, I can tell you that there are good, and we said this in the previous video when we first made the decision, is we know there are things in a van are better and things in a truck camper are better. Mm-hmm. And we experienced all the good things with the van and that life for so many years. We wanted to experience the good things with a truck camper, and so far I think we've made the right decision.
Yes,
I'm happy.
Yep.
Loving
and
it.
Who knows what's down the road for us. So primarily when we travel, we are not staying in one place for very long. In fact, the first year we traveled, I think the longest we spent is 1 night.
Yeah, we were just like, oh, what's up there? What's up there? I think we averaged 50 or 60 miles a day, but we could stay anywhere. We'd park in a town. You know, we pretty much stay back roads. We don't really do RV parks.
We don't freeway drive unless we're just trying to make it through somewhere, but we stay off the freeways.
We like to be able to have all our stuff with us when we go somewhere. Like we have friends that travel in Class A's and pull trailers and fifth wheels, and they're great because they like to pull into a place, set up camp, and stay there for a while, then take their either towed vehicle or their pulling vehicle and go explore, and that's great. They love it. For us, we've become so accustomed to having everything we own with us all the time, like the bathroom, food,
the kitchen,
clothes.
And also, as you can see, we do travel with a dog, and so we have all her stuff with us as well. So we do like having everything we have with us. Right. So whether it's a van or a camper or whatever, we've become accustomed to just traveling with everything we have.
Right. And even though we're still in a smaller vehicle, our travel and living, the way we do those things has evolved, and I'm sure it will continue to evolve. I could see myself definitely, you know, after we've crossed the continent like 15 times, we've crossed Canada twice, we've been through all lower 48 a number of times, and I could see myself eventually maybe going, okay, I want to spend these 2 or 3 months here, these 2 or 3 months here, and actually park something and basically live in those spots and just have your home that you move, you know, 3, 4, 5 times a year. I could see that, but I'm not there yet.
Not yet.
I still like being able to just pull in a parking spot, pull into a town,
and then
leave,
just go.
spend the night. And we're not worrying about you know, do we fit in camp spots? Because we fit any camp spot in any campground, so we never really have to worry too much about making reservations in a lot of places. So, and we don't.
Yeah. So should we hit this list?
Let's hit the list. Okay, so we made 2 lists: pros about the truck camper and pros about the van. I think we'll just start off going about the pros of the truck camper, and obviously a lot of those pros will be the cons of the van, I guess.
Yeah.
So
because we are comparing
all
the
right.
two.
So 2 separate units.
Yes. Well, this is a pro and a con, I will say. This falls into both categories.
Okay.
But you talk about the pros of having the truck separate from the camper.
Right. For me, the pro of having the truck and camper separate is no matter what you do in a van, you're living in a metal box, and heat and cold, it's an issue. No matter how you insulate it, it's always an issue. No matter what you do, you're living inside a car. You can put a curtain across there, but you're still living in a car. For me to sit down, my seat was the passenger seat. I didn't mind it that much, but I was still living in a car.
Yeah.
And the truck camper, there's just something unique that I like about it. When we park, we come back, we get in. It's this camper it's Asdel composite material, and the difference between hot and cold in this van is night and day.
In this camper compared to the van.
In this camper.
Yeah.
Sorry. We're still having a hard time calling this camper. We still call it a van all the time.
Yeah, we do.
But we don't worry. We can park, and the cab can get hot in the summer sun, and we don't get that here. These different windows. It's so much cooler in here. It can be 80, 85 degrees with the windows open and the fan on. We're totally fine.
Yeah.
But the van, we'll always be like, if we were in the van right now, we'd be so hot.
Yeah, because you just battle the elements with the front windows.
Yeah.
There's just no 2 ways around
right.
that. Another, I will say, a pro to having the 2 separate units is as you're putting mileage
Yes.
on. You want to talk about that a bit?
Well, it always concerned me because both our vans were pretty high-end vans. You know, they're not cheap if you've researched vans, camper vans. We put a lot of miles on it because we move all the time, and it's our daily driver. It's running in town, so 20,000 miles a year. And when you start racking up, you're getting up in those. I think we had 90,000 on our road trek, and you start thinking about resale. You have all these high-end components in this RV, but someone's looking at the van chassis, and so that was our concern. Now it's you can keep improving our camper, like we just installed the battery system, but we can always trade in a different truck. So that was kind of I don't know. I was never stressed about it, but it was always on my mind.
Right.
Right.
Yes. One more pro to having 2 separate, and I don't know if it really is because we have 2 separate units, but the chassis, like the truck chassis, is so much more comfortable than the construction van, I guess.
Yeah, both our vans were the ProMaster vans, and I think they're more designed for construction use, and and
there were probably some upgrades we could have done to the seats and stuff, but the front of the truck here is just a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, it's super plush. Yeah. It's got the big 6.4 liter Hemi. It's super powerful, and it's like the first time we were driving, it was like, this is really nice. And then also, I don't know, well, it was pretty early on. We were traveling, and it was like, man, it's quiet in here. When you travel in a van, there's noises, because it's right here with you. This is separate, so we don't know all the noises. It might be a bad thing. This thing could be falling out. Yeah. It hasn't happened yet, but it's so much quieter traveling with the truck camper than the van.
Yeah, that was something we noticed right away, was the noise level. Okay, I will say a con to having 2 separate units, and this is something we did consider before jumping into the truck camper, is we can no longer pass through between the coach and the front. For me, I did that occasionally to go to the bathroom while we were driving. So I knew that was something we would have to adjust to, and we have. I let her know probably 20 minutes before I actually need to go, so we find a nice spot to pull over and I can do that. And also, we can't just walk up front and drive away if something were happening outside. This is also something we thoughtfully considered before we got the truck camper. In all our years of travel, we never once had to just up and leave in the middle of the night or anytime, really.
Right.
But if I were traveling alone, I would not have this setup. I would have some kind of unit where I could just walk, because just for peace of mind for me.
Sure.
But it's not been an issue, but it is something to consider, I think.
Yeah.
So.
What else?
Okay, what else?
Clearance.
Oh, clearance. Okay, so that would be a pro of the truck, and that was a major reason, like one of the main things.
Yeah, so of all the years of traveling with the two-wheel drive ProMaster, there was a lot of times they were in Montana or Colorado or something, and we'd be camped somewhere. It's like, ooh, I wish I could go down that road, and I couldn't. And so now we have a lot of clearance and four-wheel drive, which you can get in the van, but
yeah,
that wasn't something we
didn't
wanted.
Have that.
So, I don't know if you follow us, you've seen it, but we drove through I don't know.
You called a stream, I said river.
Yeah.
Either way, we could have done that in the van, especially with the low alternator.
We've driven a number of places in the truck that we never could have went in the van, and it's been really nice.
It's been nice. Now, I will say, along with the clearance, though, becomes our height. We are taller now than we were in the van, and that would be a con to the truck camper.
Yeah, so with our van, we were 9.5 feet, but I had a kayak on the roof, and with all that, we were about 10.5 feet. With this vehicle, we are just under 12 feet, between 11.5 and 12 feet.
So it hasn't gotten us into trouble yet, but we are mindful of it. We were in the van too, because there were definitely, especially back east, tunnels and low trestles and stuff that we had to avoid. But it's just something we're always looking for, branches and things. It's just something to be mindful of. So I would say that the height is a con for sure.
I was actually worried we'd have more issue with the height than we have. We've crossed the country and been everywhere between Florida and Oregon, and we are mindful there are times like that's pretty close.
Yeah.
But it's not been an issue.
It's not been an issue.
No, yet.
When
it is, it might be a big issue.
It might scrape our AC off. What else? Okay, well, we did touch on the power that this truck has compared to the van.
Yeah, when I want to pull out, if I have to pull out and hit busy traffic, or if I need to give it some gas to get ahead of a car to take an off ramp,
you got it.
There's no comparing.
What else?
Propane.
So our very first van, the Road Truck Zion SRT, had a very small propane tank that was kind of underneath the van, and in order to fill it, it really was a production. Sometimes we had to get up on
all of you
blocks.
who have the Road Truck Zions, you know what I'm talking about.
You know what we're talking about.
It's not a big tank, so if you're using propane a lot, especially if you're in the winter and it's cold, you have to refill it a lot. And I always was like apologizing to the people at the propane place, because it's like they had to get down and it's trying to hook this thing up. I've actually had to pull it up on blocks at some places just to get a propane in it, which is why when we built our second van with Humble Road, we made it all electric. So we had this
propane,
massive 600 amp lithium battery system, and all induction, and so that was nice. This has on the side of the camper a door with 2 of the 20-pound propane tanks, and it's so easy. We've not even used the second one yet. We just, and with the Mopica gauge, we did a video on that. We'll put a link. If you have propane, get the Mopica gauge. It tells you the exact percent how much is in there on your phone app. But it lasts us several weeks, and we're running the fridge almost always on
and
propane.
cooking is exclusively on propane.
And
so.
I enjoy the gas cooking so much more than the induction.
Yeah.
I tried to like the induction, but I just never. I'm just so used to lifting the pan off all the time.
Oh, without hearing the beep 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 from the
Yeah.
induction.
But I can control gas because I can see the flame.
True, yeah.
You know, and anyway, I like cooking with gas.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't even worry about using propane because it's so easy to change when it gets low.
And we have a lot of it.
Yeah, and then if we do get towards, running out, you have a second bottle that you can use while you find one. So it's been much, much better.
Much better.
Much better. Yeah. I'm just not apologizing to the person that's
filling
down in the gravel on their hands and knees trying to get the hose hooked up to connect.
And that could be just an exclusive thing to that fan we
yeah.
had. I mean, obviously, these things that we're noticing, some are very exclusive to our experiences with the vehicles we've had. So
right.
What else do we have?
But I do like having separate propane tanks a lot.
Yes.
Anyway.
Do you want to talk about your backseat garage?
I do.
So we do have a full video on our garage in this truck camper. We've pulled out the back seat of the truck and made a garage in that area.
Right. Our first van, we just had the storage under, you open the back doors and you had storage under the bed. We had a lot of stuff crammed in there, but if you wanted something to pull 5 things out to get to that one thing, had the bikes mounted outside on a bike rack, but they would just get, trashed in the desert Southwest. That's the grime and the dirt and the grit. And then sometimes, like if we're in the Gulf Coast, they just rust. It was just a major issue having them outside. So we built our second van, we raised the bed up high enough that we could have 2 bikes on slides and drawers for gear. It was a great garage.
We still have one of the best van garages I've ever seen.
Yeah, but it left us with a very, very low height in the bed.
Yeah, we made that as minimal as possible.
Right, and this, with the back seat, I have 2 ways to access things, and I will put a link to the video to
the will it all fit?
The garage
tour video.
Yeah, because I've got 2 mountain bikes in there. At one point we had a 14-foot rowboat, the My Canoe foldable. Now we've got that stored for a bit while we're testing their new 10-foot solo canoes.
2 of them.
So we got 2 10-foot canoes, my fishing gear, my carving gear, all our workout gear, yoga mats,
both bicycles,
both bikes. There's a lot of stuff in there, and I can take out any one thing without taking anything else out. It's very, very organized.
Okay, another pro to this particular truck camper, I don't know how it compares to others, is the large gray and black and freshwater tanks.
Compared to our vans.
Yes.
Well, the first van especially.
Yeah, the Road Truck Zion SRT had a very small black tank. Very, very small. I don't even know what it was. 12 gallon?
Maybe not even that much. I don't really recall. I think it was less.
Yeah.
But so that was one of the reasons we went with the composting toilet in the second build. In the second van, because we put a large freshwater tank and then got the composting toilet, so none of the water went down the toilet.
Yeah.
And we didn't have to worry about dumping the black tank.
Mm-hmm.
The composting toilet can go longer.
Mm-hmm.
So when we bought this, we're going back to the black and gray tank, and it's been great.
It has been, because the tank sizes are so much bigger.
Our freshwater is, I think it's
about 40,
close to, it's just under 40 gallons for the freshwater, but the black and gray tanks are both double compared to what our first van was. So we can go plenty long, and also the way we traveled when we were, when we wanted the composting toilet because we wanted to be able to go weeks without having to find a place to dump tanks.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't do a lot of campgrounds. We were a lot of boondocking, a lot of BLM land, a lot of national forest, and now we seem to stay in campgrounds probably at least a couple times a week.
Mm-hmm.
So we're always have a place to dump tanks early on. So mode of travel is type of travel is plays a lot in that. But we'll do a whole video on toilet talk now that we've gone from black and gray to a composting to
black and
gray. We'll kind of talk about the pros and cons after experiencing
both. That'll
be
be further down the road. We'll do a video on that now that we've experienced both in different forms.
So we have our van pro list, but it's gotten smaller because we kind of
talked about the
both.
cons of truck, which was a pro of the van. But
There's a few things we didn't cover, and the big one, biggest pro for me for the van was the size. It's short, it's compact. You can pull up to the front of the coffee shop. You know, it's just so much easier to drive around, especially in towns.
Mm-hmm.
But we wanted the camper, and it's a little bit longer. We're probably about 2 feet longer than the bigger van.
Yeah.
The ProMaster 3500. We're a couple feet longer, so we don't fit in every single parking spot like we used to, but we don't mind parking out a little farther. So I just have to be more mindful of where we park, but it still is pretty easy to park anywhere you want.
And the bigger size allows for more space inside, which we're really enjoying.
Yes.
One thing, along with the bigger size, and especially in the beginning when we first got this truck, is visibility. Like the van, you could see, because the front of it was just right here, but the truck really noses out further, and you really had to get used to the visibility differences.
The van is just such a short nose. You can see everything. When I got in the truck, I felt like I was sitting like a little kid.
Yeah.
Stuck down. I got this giant hood that sticks.
Do you need a booster seat?
I did.
Yeah.
And so I can't see where and it's a different vehicle, but after a month or two, I don't even notice it anymore. But for the first month, I tried to pull into a parking spot, but I couldn't even see the lines. And so now you just kind of know where things are.
You're better now, and we also did get a camera off the back of the camper that we run while we're driving, so that acts as our rear view too.
Which we never did in the van, which
we did not.
I should have.
We could have.
It's amazing.
Sure. Yeah, we'd do that.
Okay, another one that is, I think, for most people, a huge pro, and it might even be a deal breaker, is the van. Is you open the sliding door, and you have just a short access to get in and out. You got a big opening, and the truck camper, we're a big.
You're going up a flight of stairs.
We're a big truck camper, and it's a narrow flight of stairs, and you're going in and out all day long.
And climbing into the bed as well.
Yeah.
And with an aging dog with arthritis, we don't really have her jump up those stairs now, so we're packing her up those stairs. So it's definitely less convenient. So we used to, in the van, just roll up somewhere, open the door, everyone hops out.
Yeah, now it's an ordeal. And we've made a conscious effort to hold the handrail every single time we go out or in, because one time, if you take a fall off the top step of this,
it's gonna be ugly.
You're gonna find yourself wishing you'd have had that handle in your hand.
Yeah.
It's a long ways down on this jacked up. We're not jacked up, but we're a pretty high 4-wheel drive truck.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal. That also, we used to back the van up into some brush in a parking spot.
Because the access would be on the side.
We did that once in this.
Oh, we can't get in the back now.
Get in.
So that's taken some used to, and finding spots like that are a little trickier. If you're in a town or something, typically we could back up over something up against some bushes.
What it boils down to is you're in a grocery store parking lot, and you have to find the spot that you can back into and still get in and out of your, instead of just parking without even thinking about it. So there's just a little more thinking involved.
A little more thoughtful, for sure.
Thoughtful. But yeah, I do miss the side entry. I wish we could have both. I think we could just cut a hole and install one.
There might be one with something like that. I don't know. We'll have to look. Ooh, here's a big pro to the van. This might be the last thing we touch on. Fuel economy.
Yeah, well, gas is pretty cheap right now, so.
Okay.
Making us rethink how much we travel. But yeah, so, with a ProMaster, if I was really careful, I was, 17, 18 miles to the gallon. If I'm really careful in the truck, I'm going to get 12. Mm-hmm. But, so.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. So there's the pros and cons, and then it's up to each individual to look at the way they want to live, their circumstances, their means, all the stuff that you may or may want to do, and decide which is better for you. For us, I could go either way, but for me, the biggest thing is all those years in the van, I'm really enjoying feeling like I had this. When I come back in the camper, I feel like I'm in my own separate living place, like a little apartment.
I've been really enjoying that, yeah.
And I've really been enjoying how much cooler and how fast you can cool it off. Mm-hmm. It's been nice.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so we're both loving the truck camper. We have zero regrets about making the move to it. And Also, both of us are kind of the personality.
We adapt.
Yeah, whatever environment we're in, like, we're loving it, and that's how it is until we switch it up, and then we're like, oh, well, this is new, and we're loving that. So that's just kind of how we are.
Yeah, having something new is nice. And for us, it's never been about the van. That was when people, when we were traveling, about the van life. It's like, the van life's great, but for us, van life really had nothing to do with the van.
We always say it's where the van can take you, or take us, and now we're ready to go other places that the van could not take us.
It's never been about the vehicle. It's where it can get you and what you can take with you, and what, you know, that's the biggest part for us. So.
And now, since we recently upgraded our batteries, we can be more untethered and unplugged. So, you know, we're still on the Oregon coast. We're visiting family and friends. We're here for another couple weeks, and then we're going to be wandering around, really taking advantage of the new battery system and getting unplugged and getting out there and getting some amazing boondocking spots. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, and we're going to try to make a loaf of sourdough bread in the convection oven, which is like an 1.5 hour process.
Yeah.
Unplugged. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, wish us luck. All right. See you down the road. Carry on.
Carry on. Thanks for watching.
And a very special thank you to our patrons for supporting our channel. Join us over on Patreon for extra videos and more content. Check out our website or Amazon for our pistol book. Carry on.
Carry on.